Welcome to Sharetalk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hello and welcome to Sharetalk. I am Bonnie Hughes. Today we are speaking with Blue Star Capital. They're an investment holding company focused on new technologies. Blue Star's current core assets are in electronic payments and esports. Their share price has doubled in 1 month on the AIM exchange due to substantial good news flow. And here to tell us all about the company is Tony Fabrizi, Chief Executive Officer, and Derek Liu, Non-Executive Chairman, who's zooming in from my native country of Canada. Hello, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Nice to talk to you.
Good morning, Bonnie.
Well, thank you very much for joining us from so far away, Derek. So let's begin with a question for Derek. So in your portfolio of 6 esports investments, you have a company called BLU.L Esports. And that stands out because David Beckham has recently become a co-owner, which increases its profile. Can you tell us about BLU.L and its future potential?
Yeah, really excited about what's happening at BLU.L, Bonnie. Thanks for having Tony and I on to talk about Blue Star today. Last week, BLU.L, a company that Blue Star has an investment of between 11 and 12% of, made some spectacular announcements. In fact, a trio of announcements on the same day, the biggest of which was the fact that David Beckham had joined the ownership group. And that's exciting, not just because it's the profile of David Beckham being a co-owner of the team, but he brings his passion for coaching, his passion for helping to mentor the young generation of athletes that are coming up through the academy system of the BLU.L. It's a really exciting time for the BLU.L from all levels, from the operational level and obviously from the branding level. Speaking of branding, on that same day, the BLU.L announced Fergus Purcell, the iconic streetwear designer behind brands such as Palace, has joined BLU.L to help design the BLU.L brand, as well as to develop a unique lifestyle apparel line. So this apparel line, the swag, if you will, for BLU.L will be designed by Fergus, will be authentic to the esports community, and influenced obviously with his streetwear-inspired design philosophy. And the third exciting piece of news that was released at the same time last week was having Carlton Curtis join the board as executive chair. Carlton brings with him years of experience at Activision Blizzard and Red Bull on both of their esports portfolios, and in those capacities was instrumental in the Overwatch and the Call of Duty leagues.
And you recently announced an increase to your investment in BLU.L. Was that in order to maintain your interest in the company?
It was. We at BLU are really excited about that as well. It was an opportunity to go to and speak to key significant shareholders at Blue Star, and they spoke with their wallets and participated in a round together with a new investor, a Canadian-based fund that the two of them led, if you will, the raise that allowed us to maintain our pro rata in the BLU.L.
And moving on to your next very exciting news, Tony, can you tell us about Dynasty, which has signed a 5-year exclusive partnership agreement with Malaysia Esports Federation? And how will this agreement benefit Dynasty and Blue Star's investment in the company?
Yes, I mean, this is an extremely exciting deal for Blue Star. Dynasty, we own 13.7% of Dynasty, like BLU's 11.7%. These are sizable shareholdings. And the deal they've announced last week is effectively them partnering with the Malaysian authorities to actually help develop esports in Malaysia. And Malaysia itself is in a very active market in gaming and esports. So over 20 million gamers is estimated to be in Malaysia. And figures for gaming last year were $550 million spent. So this is a big, big market. Under the terms of the agreement, the Malaysian government sort of obliged to endorse, promote, and drive all esports-related businesses to the platform that's been developed by Dynasty. So this is an enormous opportunity. It's a 5-year exclusive deal. We have great hope this is actually going to prove extremely lucrative to Blue Star. Just to give you an idea of the potential, there's actually a company in Indonesia which also has a sort of platform that's offered there through a company called Dynasty Games. So this is quite similar to what Dynasty will be offering, but we believe Dynasty will be much more encompassing. That was created about 3.5 years ago by the country's largest telecom carrier. And it's estimated to have around 18 million active users and a valuation speculated in the region of $1 billion. I think you can see the potential uplift for Blue Star on this deal if they do deliver what we expect. So, it's very, very sizable. And as I said, we've still got 13.7% of this company. So, and that's very exciting for us.
Yes, that is very exciting. And so, Derek, the company has an investment in a Canadian-based mobile gaming company called Leaf Mobile. Your investment has gained 100% due to a significant interest in turnover for Leaf. What can we expect to see from Leaf going forward?
Well, Leaf is a really exciting company, Bonnie. Leaf launches games in the mobile market. So think about your iPhone and your Android device. And so gaming as an industry obviously is growing, and mobile as a sector within that industry is itself growing. So there's extreme potential for growth in the mobile gaming sector. And Leaf has targeted niche markets within that sector. And the idea behind that being with the niche market will come higher engagement. And with higher engagement will become higher in-app purchases. And Leaf's thesis is proving itself out. If we look at the April results, Leaf announced record results in the month of April for its Bud Farm franchise. And also in the month of April, it launched a brand new game, Cheech and Chong Bud Farm. And it's notable that that game was launched not just on 420, which is important given the fact that Tommy Chong is one of the named characters in the game. And it was launched on Tommy's virtual sesh on 420. But it's also notable because the team was able to pull that off during a work at home environment. So that gives us as investors great confidence in the ability of the team to execute going forward.
I noticed in your recent fundraise that a Canadian investment fund participated quite heavily in the raise. Was that partly due to your investment in Leaf?
Yeah, so they found us. Yeah, it's an interesting comment. They certainly saw us because of Leaf, and it was once we started speaking to them in more detail that they saw the opportunities with Guild, and it's with the Guild piece that they really was where they came and supported Blue Star.
And Tony, your last sort of major investment is Satoshi Pay, which is one of your largest holdings. Can you tell us a bit about Satoshi and its beta product launch, which is expected in Q4 2020?
Yes, absolutely. We actually invested in Satoshi Pay over 3 years ago, so it's been quite a long investment for us. We had at one stage 30% of the company, but we've now been reduced to 27.9%. Satoshi Pay is blockchain. It's using blockchain for payments, basically. The initial market was micropayments, and they had developed a very clever solution, but unfortunately the market has not really come to them in time. So what we've done is focus now on the B2B payment sector, which is obviously a very large sector. The banks dominated. I think the level of fee income in that sector last year was almost half 500 billion. I mean, this is really, really enormous figures. So Satoshi Pay are trying to develop something in that market which is cheaper, quicker, and more transparent for the banks. That's the goal, and they've moved some way along that to get towards that now. They're in beta testing at the moment, and they would hoping to have the product launched by the end of the year. It's proven very interesting to a lot of customers. They've already got a number of customers lined up who want to test this when it goes live. I think the opportunity for Satoshi Pay in this market using blockchain is going to be very, very interesting. So it's an exciting time for them as well. And it complements our esports investment. So it's like a slightly different timescale. Esports is probably going to be far quicker in terms of news flow. But the potential for Satoshi Pay, no one should forget this is potentially a very large company in which we own 27%.
And you also have a few other investments in your portfolio that you're working on bringing to fruition. Can you just give us a little bit of overview of those?
Yeah, just briefly, the other company we have is another payments business, and this one is called Starla, and its consumer-facing brand is FingerPay. They've actually invested in this company even longer ago, it's 5 years ago. And we put a very small amount of money into the company at the time, but it's up 700% in that period. They've now raised about 15 million. They are very close to announcing a transformational deal in Egypt. They use biometrics, so it's finger vein technology for payments and identification. Again, this company has the potential to become quite a large business. So although we only own 1% of that business, still believe over a period of time that could return significant multiple on our current level of investment.
Well, if it gets to $1 billion, 1% is still a very good sizable holding.
I'm pretty optimistic it'll get to at least 100 million, which 20 times our money is the sort of thing we're looking for.
And I've noticed that you've put out substantial amounts of news flow this month. And what can investors expect for news flow going forward for the next few months?
Well, in terms of the payments business, perhaps Derek might want to comment on the esports side. In terms of payments, I think certainly Satoshi Pay has plans for the end of this year to go live with B2B. So that's a really big milestone if they can do that. And on Starla, I just touched upon the fact they've got this very large contract pending in Egypt. And, I think we are potentially just days or weeks away from that being announced. So quite a lot of news flow there. And on the esports side, perhaps Derek, you can pick up on that.
Yeah, Bonnie, I'm going to answer that question with maybe a bit of a non-answer, but just really to sort of paint the picture of the opportunity. I mean, remember that esports right now is currently the most popular spectator sport on earth, with a market valuation of roughly $1.1 billion, projected to grow to $1.8 billion by 2022. A fan base of over 450 million spectators, expected to grow to nearly 600 million or 650 million by 2023. And in that space, we had news this week or last week from Guild and from Dynasty. And we have 4 other investments that are participating in the exact same space. And the neat thing about our portfolio, Bonnie, is that the investments are not just the esports teams such as Guild, but they're also platforms such as Dynasty. And they're also technologies and companies that are down playing in the space where the recreational leagues are and the recreational players are. So every part of the esports market is touched by our portfolio companies. And we're really excited by the opportunities that these companies have in front of them.
Well, it sounds like it's a very exciting time for Blue Star Capital, and we look forward to hearing more of your news flow and watching a continued rise in your share price. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on Sharetalk.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Bonnie, our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.